Welcome, 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 and welcome to Kiki's House of Joy. This is the this is my channel where I build joy with intention. This is all about me sharing my joy with you, sharing just this beautiful energy that I've been cultivating for quite some time now. And also, you are here right now where I'm going to talk about the best week ever. So, welcome to the Best Week Ever series where I share with you what has made this week the best week ever. By the end of the year, I'll be able to say I've had the best year ever, but we got to do it week by week. So, if this is your first time here, hey, I'm really happy that you're here. If this is not, come in, sit down. You get to hear about my week. And if you don't want to sit down, do some cleaning up around here. No, I'm joking. If you're in my house, please, I would really appreciate that. That would actually increase the level of best week. So anyway, what I do on this channel is, I started this channel in a very spiritual way when I first started, and now I enjoy myself. I play. I have fun, and spiritual work should have some kind of results, right? So here we are. These are the results. The results are that I get to be a very happy grown woman and share with you how I make each week the best week ever, bit by bit. I break it down with categories. So I have something new, something challenging, something funny. This week, something funny is probably going to be more like ironic kind of funny, like incredulous kind of funny. What's up, Cypher? Woohoo! And then, oh, thank you so much. Yes, I have. I switched it up today. Something deep and then something beautiful. And that's how we end it. And so today, sometimes I can come on this channel and tell you right away it was absolutely the best week ever. Today, I can't. I'm going to have to tell you the story of the week, and I'm just going to have to see how I feel about it, right? So you get to go on that journey with me. Let me get my screen set up over here so I get to see my videos. Oopsie daisy, that's what I'm looking for. All right, here we go. All right. I like to look at myself. Here we are live. So I can see everything here. So I also have a screen here. All right. So here we go. Let's get into this. The best week ever. Was it truly the best week ever? Let's find out. Let's get into it. All right. So where do we begin? Where do we begin? Something new. So relax, get yourself in here, and we're going to go from something new and work it out. Okay. The first thing I did this week was I made besitos de coco. Besitos de coco. This is new. I think I talked to you guys about this a little bit. So we know we had the Bad Bunny concert, right? Last week. I think I talked about that. Absolutely. The thumbnail shows that. Welcome. Then I had what else? Then I had what's it called? That was in preparation for a party. So on Friday, we did have a party, and this was an international potluck. So everyone's going to bring something from a different place, a different culture. This was a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun as far as just the concept. So I'm gonna take you through this party throughout this report today for the best week ever. So I'm not gonna just talk about it just as a whole. We're gonna just like break it down in little pieces. But quite a few of these pieces within all the 5 categories I told you, you're gonna have a little bit of everything. So there is something new, there is something challenging, there is something funny, there is something deep, and there is something beautiful, all coming from one party. My week was great. I mean, I want to say my week was great. I achieved all my goals, French lessons, walking. What else do I do? Writing every morning for at least 15 minutes a day. I did all of that. Everything was great, but we're going to get into, like some of those highlights, right? That's what this is. So yes, the world is still the world doing its thing. Well, we're gonna get into it. I think Jesse Jackson passed, and that was sad. It's Black History Month. I'm reading. All that stuff is still happening, everyone. So I'm reading. There's Black History Month, all of this, but I got to break down these categories and let you know what's going on. So The world is complicated. Was there anything else kind of big that I noticed that happened that I don't want to forget? I think that was it. Other than that, I'm in my world. If you can't tell, I'm busy. I have things to do. So I don't get so caught up in what's happening outside of me. I am like right here. I'm like locked in. So let's talk about what that looks like for something new. And I have a lot for something new. So first is Besitos de Coco. That was what I made for the party. So everyone had a country, and a lot of people represented their country. There was a white girl that represented Kenya because one of her good friends is Kenyan. And the Kenyan friend was like, I'm not gonna tell you how to make this. I make it from like I pull from the depth of my ancestors to make it. So the white girl's like, all right, cool. So she went on YouTube. So other people were like, they're the friend is different from the other people. I That tickled me. I'm like, you should have brought the friend because I want to meet her. For she was like, I ain't telling you how to make my food. I, I get it from my ancestors. And I'm glad that she said it. This girl was a trip, by the way. She was a real trip. I enjoy her, but I enjoy her. Okay, so that was a funny thing. So but for the most part, everyone represented the country that they came from. For me, I represented, honestly, low key, without me really realizing it, I represented my childhood. I represented Nueva York. I didn't think I was doing that. I was just kind of like, what happened was that I went into that chat and was like, hey, is anyone like, doing anything for the concert, the Bad Bunny concert? And they were like, no, I don't like Bad Bunny. So there was these people saying they didn't like Bad Bunny, two guys for the most part. And I was just kind of like, and one of the guys who does a lot of the hosting, he's like, I don't like Bad Bunny. So I was like, all right, cool. But I was just like, it was such a weird statement. It was like very loud and very like, no, no, no. And I'm like, what's your problem? Like you could have just said no, right? Because he didn't have to give me all that extra stuff. Like, I don't need to know if you like them or not. Oh, Cypher, you already on it. Jaloux. Jaloux. Cypher, you are already on it. Jaloux. That is jealous. I mean, if you can't tell, that's jealous. You are already on it, but I'm going to tell you the story from an innocent point of view, right? Because it's really quick to be able to like kind of like sum it all up, but we're not going to do that, right? I'm going to tell you from an innocent. I got to tell you from a different perspective, but I think Cypher low key clocked it in like 2 seconds. So anyway, and I think that's like, you're like, but I want to I want to go deeper here. Like, I want to hear more. I'm asking more questions. So there is that part. And don't worry, it's right in here. So let me kind of tell you about this thing with Brata Besitos de Coco. So because of that, when we were making a list, and usually what happens is that once we decide we're going to do like some kind of cooking event, then he'll make the list and pretty much like say what everyone's bringing or what kind of thing they're bringing, or in this situation, it was the countries. So like we didn't know, we could have had a whole dinner full of desserts, honestly, because it wasn't like we said. Some people did say, or drinks. So because people bring anything. So you might see some people might bring a drink. I think someone brought mezcal. It's like a full range. You don't know actually what's about to pop up. There was tea, there was baklava, there was baklava, there was baklava. That was actually kind of funny. There was a lot of baklava. A lot. A lot of baklava when you realize not a lot of people there were typically from that region. You had a very interesting Iraq and Iran juxtaposition. They're like, we're supposed to hate each other. They didn't hate each other. We had we had two different people who now live in different states, but that were from the former Yugoslavia. So I think we had Croatia and Bosnia, something like that. They were representing. We had it. I mean, this was truly an international potluck. Let's see, what else did we have? Of course, we had Mexican. We had Spanish, like from Spain. We had because when I think Spanish, originally come from New York. Spanish means like Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cuban. It could be anything. If you speak Spanish, you're Spanish, right? But most part in your mind, you think Puerto Rican for some reason. I always think that. I always feel like you say Spanish for Puerto Ricans, and then for Dominicans, you'll say Dominicans. Yeah, I don't know. Y'all tell me. Any of you from New York who see that, let me know. What do you think? So, okay. So, I like this. So here we are. I decide what the joke was, because I had this moment where I'm like, hold up. what do you not like about Bad Bunny? What, that he did this for his people, that he used his fame to like bring in like hundreds of millions of dollars to Puerto Rico, that he pretty much to me did a beautiful thing. And it was kind of like, I'm gonna no comment on that one. No comment. So the moment I got that no comment, it's locked in my mind. Oh, this is gonna come out at some point. Okay, but we're not there yet in this timeline. We're not there yet according to what I've written. So y'all have to sit tight for that one. But you knew right here, I was like, okay, bet. Oh, we're having a conversation. Okay, so but the joke in all of it was when he's creating the list, and it was me and another girl. When he's creating the list, he put on the list me for Puerto Rico. So like that, all of a sudden I got Puerto Rico. Now other people, now you didn't have to rep your country. As you know, the girl from I think Indiana rep Kenya. So we know, that wasn't the rule. It was just more of like, what country are you wanting to do? But a lot of people did do their country just because it's where they're from and it's what they know how to do well, right? And so I was like, cool, because he did Thailand. He's Mexican. He did Thailand, so it wasn't like it was a lockdown thing. I'm trying to think of other people in other places, but you had a few people who deviated from their usual country, right? Because I wasn't about one of my friends, he was like, I'm doing America. And I loved it. Okay. He was doing America. And this is actually here in on the second list here in my something new. He made jambalaya. And the funny thing about making jambalaya is that when he shared it, there was someone like, that's not American. Like, what is that? That's not American. And he's like, it's jambalaya. And he's like, huh? And they're like, New Orleans. See, this is what I like about this is what these moments are very telling for a lot of things. I titled this video Being a Token During Black History Month for a reason. Because there are times where I'm in these environments and I am just like, and you have to realize when I first get there, I am the only Black person there. So I've described to you the United Nations, okay? I described to you now, if you put them all up, if quite a few of them, you put them all in one place, and I get out their percentages, I'm gonna have at least about 95% Black person. If I just start like taking out their percentages, if you put them all up, I'll have at least one more. I can squeeze one more out of them if I put them all together. I just want y'all to know that. But you know what I'm saying? For someone who actually is clear, identifies, understands who she is, all of that. When I first got there, it was just me. Okay. And I'm in these conversations where someone's like, that's not American. I'm like, and he's looking at me knowing, and he's laughing. Now my friend, he made a beautiful vegan jambalaya for me, which I've never had, and it was absolutely bomb. I was like joking with him because it was very spicy. And now when he showed me the ingredients, and it was like he did black pepper, red pepper flakes, and cayenne pepper. But I feel like with the cayenne pepper, I almost feel like because he put mad paprika in it, like it was beautiful colored and everything. And I was just like, it feels like instead of, I feel like it was heavier on the cayenne pepper than it was the paprika. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And it was right up my alley. Like I was not offended. It was, ooh, I loved every moment of it. But I was like, when you made this was just for me. It felt like it was just for me because it was like tantalizing to my senses. So that isn't something new. I've never had that before. It was absolutely amazing. But let's get back to the besitos de coco. So that was pretty much the joke of it all, that I was now Puerto Rico. I'm representing Puerto Rico because of my apparent love for Bad Bunny. Now, mind you, I don't know Bad Bunny like that. I really don't. Like that was I enjoyed the whole Bad Bunny thing because all the white people were pissed off. You know what I mean? Not all of them, of course, but that little small little group majority that seems so loud, which is kind of funny. That seems so loud. Those are the ones. And so it got me excited. I'm like, is this what's pissing y'all off? Then I'm all in. I'm all in. Because his music never really like moved me. Like, I mean, there's that one salsa song that he made, no, dun, 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 na, 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 which the lyrics are kind of cute in that one. But like, Bad Bunny to me is, we'll get to a little bit later into something challenging, but His lyrics, like I but when he first came out, what I do with anyone, if you're new to my like my world and everything, when you come out, if you have music, I'm gonna go to your music and then I'm gonna look at your lyrics. Because I don't care if your beat is like the best, I don't care if production is amazing. If the lyrics don't align with me and my values, I'm good on you. So even though he spoke Spanish, it doesn't mean I can't figure out some words. And on top of that, it doesn't mean I can't pop some stuff in a translator. And I am that person that would do that. I do that with everyone. Okay. If you come out with something, I'm about to put it in a translator. I'm about to look at your lyrics. I don't care. I will look at your lyrics before I listen to your music because I need to know how I feel. I need to know if this is aligned to me. So Bad Bunny went through the same kind of investigation when they first were like when he was first coming out and people were like so excited when he still was wearing hats with ears on it. I checked out lyrics and I was like, yeah, this ain't my vibe. So I've never been into him, to be honest. Like I've just never been, you know, I've never been into him. I love this. Larisha's like, sorry to that man. Fire the name. I never knew how he looked until this past year. I knew how he looked because I like SNL. So I was introduced to him because of SNL, and that is pretty much how I'm introduced to a lot of artists that I've never heard of is via SNL because I'm like, who do they got as like a who's their musical guest? And I might see because yeah. So I am someone who truly does enjoy SNL. Like I can't explain it, but I think it's just a freaking good show. So I like to look at the skits. Because every once in a while there's always even though people are like it's not, I'm like it's funny there's some skits that will just that stay with me or that I really like. So that's how he was really discovered. And if you watch SNL, you'll know that he's been on there quite a few times. And he's like one of those kind of SNL darlings, if you will. There's like certain people that you will see repeatedly on SNL. You're like, oh, they're back, right? He definitely has that vibe. And so that's how I knew. That's how I knew. I'm looking here. That's how I knew who he was. And like I said, I looked at the lyrics. Like I'm going to look at your lyrics, and if we don't align, then nah, I'm good. Um, that's it. That's how we did it. That's how I roll. That's how I understood this person. Okay, that was a while ago. So this man's been off my list for a long time. He's been making music, making hits, growing his career. People are loving him and loving him and loving him, but I'm like, I already evaluated him. I'm good. And like I don't like that the whole like I think dembow or like reggaeton like it doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't. It's kind of like and reggaeton in general is pretty much a Spanish hip hop. You know what I mean? It has the same vibes, it's the same kind of cultural kind of aspects. You just got a little slightly different beat and you have the lyrics. And I'm talking about the Spanish hip hop. It mimics the Spanish hip hop with the same kind of like over sexual undertones, the stuff that became very popular within hip hop, right? In the pop culture. So it's taken pop culture hip hop, right? Not like your good stuff. I'm talking about the regular like stupid stuff. And then they speak it in they do it in Spanish and do it to a different beat. So I know that because once again, I read lyrics. So because I do that, I'm like, all right. So I'm telling you all this to get back to something new. So let's jump back into something new. So that's how I got Puerto Rico. And to me, there was so much like silliness in it all that I was like, okay, cool. I could have said I'm gonna do something different. I was like, oh no, we're gonna keep this going because I got questions. So I stuck with it, and then he even asked me, he's like, I was just joking. I was just joking about that. What country do you want to do? And I was like, Puerto Rico for the African diaspora. I don't know why. Why are we confused here? I love to. Are you Puerto Rican? I'm Black. It's a part of the African diaspora. Now you know I'm messing with someone when they already are showing a little bit of ignorance, and I throw in African diaspora in there. If I'm throwing in African diaspora, that's my way of that's my way of being like, I clocked you, and we're gonna go here, and you asked me to go here, so lock in because we're about to go. Okay, so that was where I was at, right? if I'm talking to someone who I find to be a little bit, just a little bit ignorant on something, I'm throwing in some keywords. Keywords. African diaspora, I'm throwing that in there. Just throwing it in. No, I'm not going to explain it to you. I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to throw it in there. So that's what happened. And so then I was like, what am I going to make? And then there was this joke where they were like, oh, well, we're going to do, we'll add a traditional song to it. So you're going to present your food and play a traditional song. So there was some fun. There was some fun. Not everyone did it because we knew not everyone's going to do it, right? But there were going to be a few people who did it. So for me, I don't know. I was looking through like, some simple Puerto Rican recipes, and then I saw Besitos de Coco, and then immediately I was like, oh, there's a song called Besitos de Coco because Celia Cruz and Johnny Pacheco, who's Puerto Rican, Celia Cruz Cubana, they have a song Besitos de Coco, and I was like, interesting. I did more research and found out that Ismael Rivera actually wrote the song. Ismael Rivera comes from Puerto Rico, of course, and he also wrote Las caras lindas de mi gente negra. If you guys know Espanol, you'll know I just said the beautiful faces of my black people. Yes, okay? So, I'm already excited because I'm dealing with some consciousness, okay? I'm like, oh, yes, I'm putting this in here. So I do this kind of stuff. This is, if you're going to be the token, y'all, if you're going to be the token at the event or in your friend group, don't sell out. Know who you are at all times, please. Don't. I mean, if you're in a place like mine where it's really hard to find people who you vibe with and they don't look like you, and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to embrace these people, you don't lose yourself in this process. I don't lose a damn thing. Okay? So I'm just letting y'all know. Know who you are at all times. Okay. So here we are. I'm like, all right, good. Besitos de coco. Besitos de coco. So I made those. They're very simple to make, actually. I hooked them up, and then I put a little, I added my extra little whatever into them. You know what I mean? Because I was reading it, and that's what it pretty much said. Like, this is your base, but you do a little something. I didn't want to do too much because I didn't want to, like, take away from, like, just the nostalgic feeling. After I make them, right, and I eat it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I grew up on. This is what I grew up on. I've always loved macaroons, but there's macaroons that are made more, I would say, like, from, I don't know, other culture it is. And then there were these. This was the flavor I grew up on. And so it's kind of crazy that in the end, I just represented my roots in my own way, my Nueva York way. And so when I was telling my mom about it, she goes, "Oh yeah, of course." We didn't have a lot of sweets growing up, and so that meant if I grew up on it, I probably had it once or twice, but it stayed with me forever. That just to kind of help you understand what I mean by that. And so I was like, "This is it." She's like, "Yeah." She goes, "That's what we eat." She goes, "That's what we would eat." She goes, "They were delicious." And so I was like, "Well, Mom, I made them." Okay. So, I saved some for her and everything. So with that, I made Besitos de Coco. I played this song too at the same time. Then one of my friends from Honduras, who you could tell has a thing for Black women. And you always know when someone non-Black has a thing for Black women, because the first thing they'll do, at least especially if you have locks or your hair, they'll compliment your hair. Especially your hair has to be natural. If your hair is natural, it doesn't, I'm not saying it has to be for this in general in life, but I'm meaning, like, if you want to know, like, if you're like, oh, this is the way they do it, they'll be like, I just love your hair. I just love it. This can be white, Asian, it doesn't matter what they are. Once you hear, I just love my hair, that's their way of, I just love your hair. That's their way of being like, I'm down with the sisters. That's it. That's their way. So he does that. Now he tells me about my hair on a regular basis. So I already know what he's about. But in the dancing world, I just kind of do my own thing. But I just want y'all to know, if you didn't know, for the Black women who watch, y'all might already know this, but I'm just trying to let you know, that's it. That's their biggest flirt sometimes, because they don't have a lot of times, they don't have the confidence sometimes to really come at you. So that's their biggest flirt, to be like, I find it funny. I find it funny every time. Just like, y'all are a trip. Happy Black History Month. So there we go. Okay. So anyway, as we keep on going here, I he tried it, and he's from Honduras, and so since he's from Honduras, he's also like he brings. I hear Afro come out his mouth a lot. Just want you to know. So, but I already told you what he's about. So he's from Honduras, and I think he had his son there, and I swear I might be misquoting him, but I was like, "Who is this?" He's like, "Oh, this is my son." And so I was like, "Oh," I'm like, "Hi," I introduced myself. He introduces me to him, and he's like, "He could be your son." And I was like, this he's such a mess. He's a fun mess, but he's such a mess. I was like, but I like good energy like that. I like good energy like that because I'm going to tell you about other energy. So that's why I like good energy like that. To me, that's just harmless flirting. I like a good harmless flirt. You know what I mean? So we do a lot of fun harmless flirting. So with that, that is where we get deeper in. He loved it. He ate them. He's like, they make them in Honduras too. He's like, oh, this is so delicious. Because I did read like the different places where people enjoy. He's like, oh, and he loved them. So that was like a good thing for me because that was like authentic. He like rolled his eyes. I was like, yes. So that was I felt really good about my little creation. It was super simple and it was successful. So, right. Okay. So then, let's see. So then, we had this party was a good vibe. The other thing that was new was at the party, I danced in son timing. Son timing, for all of you, I don't want to bore you, but there's different kind of timing with salsa, with the dance. There's mambo, which is what we're more familiar with, where you typically do it on the two, which means your second step is on the clave, and the clave is what you find in that music. It's like this dun, 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 something like that. So you step on that. But mambo, son timing is a lot of the roots of actual salsa, what came to the States, and what's more familiar. And son cubano is what you see in Cuba, but there's like a dun dun boom bop bop boom. So this song plays, and it's kind of in a timba sound. And timba is kind of outside of the usual count, right? There's different kinds of music that you're going to find in the salsa kind of world, right? And so as we're playing, we have this son timing going on, and I heard it, and my dance partner, I'm like, do you hear that? Because he was like you could tell he was trying to figure out the movement. So we had to really adjust and figure it out. He slowly started to feel it and I started to feel it, and it was just so much fun. What I really liked about it is that it helped me see where my African dance classes were kicking in. Because as you know, I've been taking African dance classes and I'll be continuing to do it. And those classes have rooted me now. I feel better in the dance because I felt like the longer these dances, salsa, bachata, even cumbia, these dances at their heart, their root are African dances. They're West African dances at their root, right? Because of the drum and because of the people who started making these dances. Now, other cultures kind of came in and there's these different influences, but at their core, that's what they are. And when you tap into the core of the dance, it feels different. And so because just completely different from that, I have just been listening to West African drums, and we're doing different dances from different regions, and I'm moving my body to that drum. And half the time I'm moving my body to these drums, my footwork is pretty much a similar footwork that I do and that I've done in salsa classes, but now it's grounded and it feels right. And I'm doing it in a way that feels authentic, and it feels natural. I'm not searching for the movement. I'm like, oh gosh, it feels so good. So now I'm finding myself that I'm bringing it to my dancing, my social dancing and salsa. And so that night I felt it activate, and it was a totally different vibe. I feel so much better in my social dancing. I feel so grounded. I feel so clean, like on that dance floor now. It's so weird. So I'm gonna just keep on going because I remember I did say best dance life this year. That was one of the aspects of this year. I didn't know how it was gonna happen, but now I'm starting to see what it means for me. I'm like, oh man. This dance is starting I'm starting to find my true authenticity in the dance. I don't feel like I'm just doing moves anymore. I feel like I'm feeling the music and I'm embodying the music. And it just felt so good. It felt so, so, so good. Let me see. C'est un beau, c'est la sonde. Yes. So it's so in I want to read this in French and in English because I think you'll hear familiar words, familiar sounds. So it says that drum is the sound of the ancestors. And then en français, it says ce tambour, which is what they typically call the drum, the tambour. Um, c'est le son. Remember I said son timing, sound, the Cuban sound. C'est la son des ancêtres. So it's once you start to kind of understand son timing, you really were just talking about sound. Okay, there we go. I love this translation because it really does help you understand what we're talking about, the sound, the drum. And so that's what was pretty much awakening when we were dancing. It was beautiful. When the dance was over, he was like, that was like one of my favorite dances. I was like, I know, me too. It was like the music, we started to vibe. He started to vibe. That 5% was coming through his veins. It was coming through. That 5% was like, I was like, yes, activate. It was very nice. It was very, very, very nice. Okay, so let me see what else I have here. All right, so that is that part of the party. We'll come back to the party, but we got to talk about some other new stuff. I did my presentation, but I dressed up. So the presentation isn't new, but me working it and moving it through the different iterations is. So when I first made this presentation I'm talking about is my work-life balance presentation. I'm very proud of this presentation, by the way. It's very good. It's very, 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 very good. And I am developing it because I want to make it into about an hour presentation at least. Oh no, about 45-minute presentation. So right now it's probably at like 10, 15 minutes. And that's me rushing through. And so I want to work it out. And then I want to be able to present it out in two people. And then me working to present it to people, I want to dress up. I want like a suit. I want to look. And so it's based off of my red jumpsuit. And so I wore my red jumpsuit for the presentation. I was just loving it. Like I don't care what people think as far as, I mean, the fact that I get invited to do it and people want to see it happen means it's good, right? So if I know that it's good and people like it, then I'm not self-conscious about then adding the levels to it, right? That eventually I'm going to have that bright red lip, right? That eventually I might, get a different red suit and it'll be fancier. That eventually those red sneakers that I think I'm going to finish painting today are about to be in it. That I might even find a heel that I'm going wild with this, right? It's just something exciting to me. So since this is the Chinese New Year and red is a big color, I mean, it was very nice. It was just very appropriate. It felt very exciting to wear my suit and do that. So yeah. Then what else did I do? I did that. Oh, and then I made my French playlist. So I am so anxious to be good at French, and I want to speak. I say anxious in the sense of I'm not trying to come to language with anxiety because it's hard to learn that way, but I really want to see if I can be fluent in this language. I have studied so many different languages. Okay, so many different, it sounds like a lot, but I've studied Spanish, Italian, Brazilian Portuguese, and Korean. So those are like the main languages that I've studied, right? And I am not proficient in any of them, right? Spanish I did the most time and I understand a lot, but being able to speak it, nah, not at all. I mean, I used to be able to conjugate all the verbs and all the tenses, all that kind of stuff, but it just doesn't translate in conversation. Italian, similar. I mean, I lived in Italy and it was just kind of like the language itself sounded like Russian. Like it was weird. It's like I'm in class, I'm learning, but when I go out in the streets, I'm like, that's Italian. It just was so hard for my ears to even get used to it. And it was hard for me to speak it. So then there was Brazilian Portuguese. Now this was the one time I did it a little bit differently, and that was when I did Pimsleur to do Brazilian Portuguese, and I did, of course, gain. It was so much easier. Brazilian Portuguese felt more natural, and I did, of course, live there as well. and I did okay. I mean, I don't know, I had confidence because I was writing papers, I was speaking, I was still shy, but I felt very confident. It didn't stay with me, but I when I hear Portuguese, I feel pretty good, but I'm still not fluent, right? But during the moment, you couldn't tell me nothing. But if I were to be an outsider looking in, I would have been like, "You out here struggling, girl." But I felt good, okay? Korean was a similar. I didn't formally study it like I should. I was watching a whole lot of Korean dramas and like kind of looking at the translations. So I learned a lot of things. And I mean, I learned how to dance in Korean. So I knew how to listen to it and take direction, and I understood a lot of it. But actually speaking it, I mean, I could order. I could now one thing I could do up and down, beginning and forwards, I could order my food, that I could do, but the language itself, it was so difficult. I remember one time being on the bus going home and just crying and really feeling like that sense of homesickness, which I never really felt in traveling. And I was just like, I was just so overwhelmed with just not getting it, right? And then because I was so busy with everything else, I didn't have time just to study. So here I am now with French, and I'm like, I'm gonna do this, damn it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. So I'm working really hard to do it. And I just I want to do it. French, why French? Well, I don't know. It might be because my mom, studied it, and it could be because it was just a language. It was one of the first languages I did learn. So, I went to like, I was like Montessori'd out. So in Montessori schools, depending on, I guess, the school, but we were learning Japanese, Spanish, and French in that school. So, you'd go, you had the Japanese teacher one day, then you had yeah, it was just, you're just going all around. And so I was introduced to it, but it was hard to keep it up and continue, and especially when, you know, y- it's hard to learn a language when you don't, it's not spoken around you on a regular basis, and you're a child. So there's no one to reinforce the language. So I was like, I'm going to learn this. I'm going to learn it, and so that's where I'm at. And so I made a French playlist. I tell you all that to say my new thing is I made a French playlist. And so I'm trying to use all the different ways that I can think of to get this language in. I've been putting it on as an audiobook. I find French books and put them on as an audiobook to listen to. I do, of course, my spoken stuff. I do my Duolingo. My phone is in French. As you guys know, I'm looking at all of your comments in French. I'm just calmed down a little bit. um, I'm just calmed down as far as me. I'm trying to be cool about it. And then I do when I see something, I'm like, I know all the words. I will look and translate, but it's pretty cool to see like all the stuff that you guys are all writing and then seeing the difference and everything. So I'm like, let me chill, let me chill. I'm excited though to see the difference. Um, and that's what I'm doing. So French playlist I created, I found I was very specific. I try to use ChatGPT for good. And so I was like, listen, this is the kind of music I like. Find me artists, French artists that have a good vibe. And so it gave me a list of French artists, and then it was specific. I'm like, that I can understand. And so it gave me a really good list of French artists. And so I created a playlist. And so I'm gonna start learning those songs so I can get with the cadence of it, right? And the pronunciation and use it. Because like right now, if I read something like Je pense que c'est parce que la plupart des pays apprennent, like there's things I want to say that I shouldn't, du long, de le plus jeune âge, lorsque l'esprit est plus ouvert. Yeah, and as I read that, my interpretation without translating is that when you're younger, your spirit's more open to learning new language. Yeah, it's harder. Let's see. Let's see what she says. I think because most countries learn two languages at young ages when the mind is more open. Yeah, I think that was my mom's goal, but it was just hard to maintain, right? And she would have had to speak in French at home all the time, and that wasn't, and it would have been what, just to me. It would have been too hard. So I want to do something different anyway. That's where I'm at. So, okay, that's something new. We are done with something new. We are 40 minutes in, and we have 5 more things to do. We're going to do our best. I clearly don't care about how long these videos are anymore. I just like do my thing and have a good time. So I hope you guys are cool with that. I'm gonna get these videos out the way I'm gonna get them out. I used to really pace myself, but I don't care. I hope y'all don't. I really don't. I like a long video. I look for long videos. Like when I see my favorite people speaking, I'm like, how long we got? Oh, good. I'm gonna get my walking in. I'm gonna get my stuff in. So I hope y'all like it as well, because that's where I'm at. La musique française, un son et un flow magnifique. I agree. I found some really good stuff too. I found like soul kind of music. I found hip hop. I found like I'm like kind of like spoken word vibes. So I'm about to get in there. So I have some songs because I wanted stuff that I could really bop to. You know what I mean? Like I want like if you get into my car, you're gonna be like, cool. All right. All right. So here we go. Something challenging. Let's move forward now. This is I don't know if y'all are waiting for it, but let's do it. So something challenging this week was listening to Latino men say they are offended by Bad Bunny lyrics. The same lyrics they say they don't understand. Let's get into this, y'all. Now, if y'all just tuning in, you'll know that I said that the whole thing, as far as Besitos de Coco, part of this party that we're going to be referencing throughout this video, you'll know that it came from me being excited about the Bad Bunny concert, and that there was some guy, I think there's a few that were like, oh, Bad Bunny sucks. Okay. Cypher clocked it and he said jaloux, which is jealous in French. And I don't, I didn't want to say, I felt like in the end, like that was the first feeling you have. You're like, are y'all just jealous of Bad Bunny? And part of me kind of feels like that, but I didn't want to just go there because that shortens the conversation and you don't get to like the heart of things, because then you want to know, well, why are you jealous? Like, what is it for real? Like, what's going on? Like, I need to know the deeper reasons. Like, what is this? What's happening? What is this? Like, where is this coming from? So there was a few responses about this. One, they were saying, one of my friends was saying, and I like these people, I really do. So I want to be clear. He was saying like he's not an artist. So I was like, okay. So just the idea that, okay, maybe he's not making his own work, kind of treating him like a pop artist where you just show up and you just say the lyrics and you don't come up with anything. Even though when you look at the writer's credits, you see that he wrote the stuff. But he's not an artist. I'm okay. The sound, the way that they're speaking sounds very, how hip hop was critiqued by non-black people and probably some bougie black people, I'm guessing, kind of like in the early days of like, I don't know what they're saying, or what is that? It was that hip hop shoop. It had those vibes. Like, so there was that level of like, I don't know what they're saying. That sheep doo bop beep boo doo boop. That was honestly like that's what I was hearing. And my mouth, like, I don't think my jaw was on the ground, but it was like I kind of like kept my composure because I still had to get more information. But that was like the initial vibes of like when I'm first kind of like digging deep into the inquiry of like what's really happening here. But these aren't, these aren't like older parents or anything. These are, pretty young men who are saying this. And so it's like a different thing because, if you see older white women say, oh, hip hop, I don't listen to that. That's just some, ribbity bop poo boo. You're not shocked. Or if you hear your grandmother be like, I don't know why y'all like that skibbity boo bop bap. You're not shocked by that, right? But when you have young, somewhat probably virile men, pretty much like, I don't understand. It's not art. I'm like, what are we really saying? Because do I listen to hip hop? Not that like that, no. But I recognize the art form. I recognize the talent, right? I mean, I recognize a lot. So, are y'all with me here? So I'm like, what's really going on? And then what got me was that how can you say you don't like the lyrics and then in the other breath, I don't know what they're saying. Well, if you don't know what they're saying, then you don't know what the lyrics are. I mean, choose one. But okay, that's fine. I get it. Because then I'm like, all right, whatever. Because I know that I didn't know what he was saying, and then I did the research and I looked it up and I understood. And honestly, there's some very clear words. And I'm like, all right, fine. So I gave freedom there too. I'm just loosening it up. I need to get deeper. We're not gonna hang out there. So then I'm like, well, what is it about the lyrics that you don't like? The lyrics that you don't understand? Well, it's offensive. It's really nasty, nasty lyrics. I'm like, so you don't like nasty lyrics? No, disrespectful. Another guy chimes in, I don't understand why women like these, derogatory, these, I was trying to stand up for women, and then I find out that they like you. What are we supposed to do? What do they want? or women, right? Or what do they want? And so I'm just like, I'm here. And I'm like, okay, well, for you, sir, I want you to keep that energy, right? Keep the same, like, I'm here for the women energy, please. I appreciate it. And this person wasn't necessarily in the conversation. He's there listening. So I'm like, let me get back to these two over here. Like, okay, so you don't like the lyrics? No, I mean, I don't want, I don't want to talk to my woman that way. Da, da, da. I'm like, okay, all right, you don't want to do that. The lyrics horrible. So then it kind of hit me. You don't want to talk to your woman that way and all that. Now I want to be clear for these two men. I am not their preference. I've talked to you about this before. We do not have harmless flirting. Okay, these are not my. These I'm not. This I'm not their preference. They don't give me any compliments on my hair. Okay, okay. So I want to be clear that this I ain't it. Okay. So they're talking about something else. And it just made me stop for a second. And I'm like, so what do you think about hip hop? Right? Who do you listen? I'm like, I bet you'll still listen to the way I don't listen to hip hop is funny because 50 Cent is like my default. And I'll tell you why 50 Cent is my default. I'm like, just listen like 50 Cent. Now the reason why 50 Cent is my default is because one time I'm in grad school and and this is something that palm colored women will tend to do. Not all the time, but every once in a while. But to relate to you, they will let you know that they like rap or hip hop, and it's a weird concept. It's a very weird thing they'll do, and I that night I saw it, and so that's why it was fresh in my mind. There was a girl, there was someone. She said she was from St. Louis, and I don't want to skip ahead to the story, but you'll hear it later. And this girl, Kenyan, the white girl that was representing Kenya, and she goes, "Do you love the Saint Lunatics?" So you see what I'm saying? Like it's a thing that they do. It's really kind of weird. But it happened to me, and so that was fresh in my head. And so I said, "So what do you think about so what, you just listen to 50 Cent?" I don't know. That's all I had. And I know that wasn't as great but still. And it gets really quiet. Because here's the thing. This is why it was challenging for me. You're okay. You're up in arms when it's this man with this curly hair who has a little bit more than 5% in him, who is singing these songs to your women. And your women are eating it up, loving every moment. Okay? And this is all based off of you pretending that, oh, I'm a man about respect. I want to respect women. I want to, oh, the women are so important. How can we do this to them? Right? But when I ask you about other women who are also being affected by misogynist and disgusting lyrics, it's silent. That stuck with me. It ain't left me either. It has not left me because and was I didn't take deep offense to it because I'm thinking deeply about all this, right? But it was just it's a little note in my mind of like very interesting. Very, very interesting. See, sometimes we don't really seem to understand racism and the power of it and the internal aspects of it and how deep it runs. We don't understand how when you are systematically oppressing people, what that system really represents. It is in the synapses in people's brains. They are wired to think certain ways and be certain ways. And so sometimes we don't understand what that means, right? They think an idea that comes out, it's not just the way you think, it's the music that you'll speak up for. It's all of this. And I'm just listening here and I'm like, I'm not, and when I'm talking about, I'm not saying these people, oh, you're racist. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that this is the effects of what it is. That it's so deep in your mind. You will look me in the eye and say this because I don't believe these people mean to cause me harm. I don't believe that they are hateful towards me or anything like that. I really don't. I understand the depths of it. That's all that I was realizing. I'm sharing this story with you, not as an indictment against these guys. I don't, and they're funny to me. It's more of the depth of what it looks like. And probably why I spend time with everyone, probably why I'll be a token during Black History Month, because I just want to understand. I want to understand things, and I want to understand things from a place of I'm there, I'm locked in, and not from an outsider. I'm here. I'm in these conversations. Most of the people have already left for the party. This is the real part of the party. This is where we open up a little bit more and share a bit more. So this is where I'm at. I'm locked in and I'm open minded, and this is what I'm hearing. Let me read. I see a lot of comments here, so let me look for a second just so I can kind of tap in a little bit more. Yeah, that's why explicit language got put on their albums. Yeah, the war against hip hop, exactly. And then here we go. Maybe they're jealous because he's repping their culture heritage the way they wish they could and get the attention from it. I think that's a big part of it, right? I think it's a big part of it, but I also think that there's a deeper thing underlying it all. And that's why I was like, if that's what you're so, against, and so then this is like the joke of it all. I say all that, and I guess I have to tell you all this now. I want to tell you it later, but there was another Black person there. There was another Black person there. And we end up, there's actually two of us. No, there's three of us that night. So it started off with just me, and then there was three of us. So I wasn't quite the token anymore. And me and my usual partner, we joke. It was more. Once we had three, it was like, oh shoot, we ain't quite the tokens. We're part of it because I told you all these different places that are being represented. So I was like, oh, okay. The tokenness kind of went away a little bit. And we and her, but now I have someone who's also a sounding board who's seeing what I'm seeing. And she looks at me and says, and you can realize it's all of us talking, but now across the room, me and her are having like a conversation out loud, a conversation that we clearly want them to hear, but we're wanting them to hear it in a way that is somewhat coded, but clear at the same time. And she's pretty much saying, well, maybe they just never thought about it like that, or they don't listen to it so much. And so therefore they don't see the correlation, but this is what they're listening to. I said, oh, okay, is that what it is? She's like, yeah, I think so. I'm like, okay. Oh. Now I don't believe that for a second, but at the same time, it was a great way to let everyone off the hook. Okay. So I've just, everyone there speaks English. We can understand things. So I'm like, okay, this is deep. Now I understand one of my people, I will say, doesn't know every English word. So like, I said something like waft, and didn't know what that word meant, or, like at all. So like I noticed there are times where he will understand just the general feeling of it, probably the way I'm going to understand French one day. Hopefully I get a little bit better, but um I never felt like he doesn't understand me in conversation, but just those little nuances, those like not so well-known words and that kind of stuff, that will kind of catch him a little off guard. So we played Taboo once, and he was like, "What the hell is this?" You know what I mean? Like, because there were so many words that he didn't pick up. So I will recognize that, and so that means, yeah, I think if you listen to hip hop, then maybe not, you may not catch it all. But just like I didn't know all the words in Bad Bunny songs, but I can look them up and know that, okay, come on. And just like he didn't understand what he's saying, but still somehow knows miraculously the language might be a little like, vile or a little nasty or a little racy or whatever, or explicit, then you see what I'm saying? You guys are with me, right? You're picking up what I'm putting down. So I just found it very, very interesting because I feel it was just this really interesting moment where I'm like, it's so amazing how all of a sudden you can be against something. But when I ask you about, I'm like, well, how about this? How about when it's Black bodies and Black women at stake in these lyrics? How do we feel now? Oh, we're okay. Oh, okay. And that was kind of where I left it, but that was where that stood out to me. And so that was challenging for me. It was challenging, and like, this is the interesting world we live in, and it helped set a standard for me as far as like who I would share deep intimate space with. I By me having that conversation, like I said, these people, they're not from a romantic sense, not at all, right? So there's different levels of engagement that we can have, and so I appreciate these interactions, and I appreciate their honesty. um, because that's all I would want. But it helped me understand like even more. So like it was a great moment for me because I'm just like, okay, well now you will actually understand the level, what kind of minds that you're looking for when it comes to going in deeper into your intimate space, right? Who can come into your home? You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of stuff. I started to think about all those things. Okay. So with that, the other challenging thing that happened this week is this, and that is I was asked twice what I thought about Jill Scott. And geez Louise. Um I- what apparently her album's fire. I say apparently, that's not right. I listened to it. I did listen to the whole album. It's all right. I mean, it's very Jill Scott. It's in her brand with like a newness to it at the same time. It's punchy, it's poetic, it's her. It's her. It's definitely her. Um, there's not like a song on there that to me kind of has like it's a good album. It really is. It's solid. There we go. Oh, it's because that's who we are as Black women. That's our vibe. I'm reading Larisha. Oh, geez Louise. Anyway, so yeah, it's hard when people ask me how I feel about Jill Scott because that was what I discovered this week. I was talking to one of my girlfriends and we went deeper into it. I don't think I want to go that deep here, but I will say this. Her I watched her Tiny Desk, which was great. It's weird. I just want to say this out loud because I think it's important that I have this documented. I don't know for who or for what or whatever. But the complexities of being a Black woman is liking Jill Scott and liking a lot of different artists and wanting to see them thrive and be well, but truly not relating to so much and in very interesting ways. And so that's how she's always been for me. I feel this way. I always feel like she made music for men and not for me. Because I don't connect a lot of times. And it's interesting. But I did listen to the album. It was good. I loved her Tiny Desk. That was great. I loved her. She did a Nooney's Porch one. That was pretty cool. So yeah. But I just wanted to say on record, it's challenging when someone asks me. And so I was asked in private, and that was fine. I went all in private. And then I was asked in public. And that's why I wrote it here. Because when I was asked in public, I was like, I don't want to talk about it here. I don't want to talk about it here. I just found it interesting. I was like, "Huh." Interesting in the sense that it's the same way that those guys weren't willing to go as deep about whatever they were feeling about Bad Bunny. I wasn't going to go as deep as what I was feeling about Jill Scott and make that environment. And I just found it interesting. So I tried to say a little bit, but that was it. And because it's so complicated. But I wonder if anyone else who's watching feels that same sense of complication regarding our beloved Jill Scott. Her artistry to me is still amazing. I just, I love a prettier voice. Okay, let's see. I want to see what Larisha's saying here. Let me look here. Let's see. I'm gonna take it back to the verses. Jilly from Philly versus Miss Erica. That put into perspective for me. I'm Erica. Yo, it did the same for me. It did the same for me. Girl, you're right. That was amazing verses. But in the end, I was like, I know. And I think that is when my feelings became even more complicated because I was just like, I get it now. I love me some E. I love me some E Badu. It's something about the way she is. It's something about the that centeredness that Erica Badu is having, the realness. There's just something. Okay, we're on the same page. All right, whew, what a relief. Oh, I knew Larisha was going to come through and help me in this process. Girl, I just knew it is why I put it on here because I knew I said, well, Larisha's here. I didn't know if you were going to be here, but I said, she's here. I know I'm going to be okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hallelujah. Thank you so much. Okay, let's move on. I needed that. That helped me. When I tell you this was a challenging part of the week, it was a challenging part of the week. The conversation that was swirling about. And then for me to be asked again, I'm like, oh, please don't ask me no more. That's funny. Okay. Not ha 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 funny, but that's funny. Why I watched my friend take accountability for something through a stranger. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but I'm telling you what happened. I had a accountability partner for walking. Okay. 10,000 steps a day. Now I already have a solid accountability partner for that. This person asked to be added on. Like, yo, put me on. I'm like, okay. I put him on. Now, it's very annoying if you have an accountability partner and they're not on their accountability thing. So like they're missing days on a regular basis, and it's like come on, like cuz you look forward to someone saying done and then you going back and saying done. Okay? Now, if you're the only one saying done, now you're just talking to yourself, and guess who's not being accountable? One of these people. This in this situation was him. It's very annoying, and it kind of like you want that person to kind of just straight be like, I can't do this before, instead of wasting your time, because it becomes like a bit of a time waster in a way. Whether it's your mental space, whether it's some kind of space, because of what accountability means. Because also, if someone is falling off and you are accountability partners, you also want to be there to support them and be like, yo, well, what can we do? Like, for example, I'll give you a real example. Me and my other friend, we have an accountability thing that we do when it comes to the writing. So I have a different friend for that, and they were going through something different in their life, and I realized it's going to be way too hard for them to do this kind of the same thing, and I didn't want them to one feel like they were failing. So I was like, hey, 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 let's talk about this. And can we find a way? Can you choose something different that you can still be accountable, but you're not beating yourself up? Because that's not what this is about, right? We don't do this accountability stuff to beat yourself up. You do it because you are trying to better yourself in some different area, right? You're committing something. You're committing to yourself for something, and you are using your community to support. And so that's what you have accountability partners for. Okay. And so this person ain't doing it. Just like, and my thing is, if you open up your mouth and say what you need or say what's going on, then we can figure this out. We can actually have a conversation about it. But nah, that makes way too much sense. So we eventually just kind of ghost each other, because I had already there's 2 times where I kind of came out and supporting and trying to like get this thing, like get that little level of support in the accountability process. And then I was like, this is like, it's too much. I don't have to do this with my other person. I got to do it with you. And you asked me put on. So, you asked me to do a whole lot of work, and you're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a little too much. So eventually, I just stopped doing it. I was like, I'm not going to speak to an echo chamber. And that was the end of it. We stopped, but this pissed me off. Okay. And when I and so I was like, you know what? Because I'm using my phone to do this. I'm like, I ain't using my phone to have any kind of communication with you. So I kind of pretty much in my mind, I'm like, this no more. No freaking more. And I still see them out in social settings and all that, but I was pretty much acting like they didn't exist, or I would just have a brief whatever, but that was it. I was like, uh, 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 uh. So this is where it gets funny. We're at this, remember, it's an international potluck. We're eating our food and everything. And strangers is in between us, and we're all just chilling. I get up because I had a dance waiting for me on the dance floor. So I was like, well, let me go dance. So I get up and do my little dancey thing. I come back from the dance, and the stranger goes and says, wow, you're very disciplined. And I was like, well, how you know that? And that's when I find out my homie is over here telling the stranger all about the whole situation. I'm like, so this is when you take accountability for it. And I mean, I said that. This isn't like in my head. I'm saying it out loud. I'm like, this is interesting. It was funny. Now I was still pissed off. I had seen them at a different event, and I already started the forgiveness process before this adventure. So maybe that's why maybe he felt more comfortable. But I was like, did he tell this person a story that I would, in the sense of, oh, we already know it's a he now. Oh, too late. Did he tell this person the story in the sense that I would eventually, that I wouldn't know, or that they wouldn't say anything? Like, I couldn't quite figure out like what the journey was here. But once I found out, I was like, to a stranger, you couldn't have just said this to me? I think it's important to say he, because everyone keeps on telling me, oh, that's men. Whatever. Funny. So that's like something funny. That happened. All right, then this is kind of funny. Some more irony, a little lighter. Ever since I admitted to myself that I like chocolate, my curiosity about chocolate has lessened. It's almost like I took the pressure off of me to dislike chocolate, and now finally I'm at peace with chocolate. I thought that was kind of interesting. All right. Maybe it's in between something funny and something deep. So let's get over to something deep. Okay. So I also had Crafty Day. Crafty Day is a great day. It's where the girls get together, and I feel like Crafty Day is almost like Fight Club. We can't talk about everything that happens in Craft Club, in Crafty Day. But a really good question came from there. And that was, have you ever, and this is like the deep part for me, when's the last time you have met someone who that just blew you away? Like, when's the last time? Or like just kind of stopped you? And I was like, college? It's a long time ago. I mean, that was my first answer. And I'm like for real, I'm like, college? And I think I said that because as I'm writing my book, and I'm kind of capturing like these moments and capturing those feelings, it really yeah, it really kind of, how do you say, it hit me, it hit me of just what it feels like to of how long I really, really felt that way. You know what I mean? There might be people who I meet and I'm just like, oh, curious, right? There's people who I'll have a curiosity about. But, when you're talking about like that dreamy feeling, I'm like, college? Like, I don't even, I'm like, honestly, I'm like, I don't think that it really exists anymore. I think that was like the novelty and like and that's it. I've tried to want it. Oh, don't trust me. I've tried, but it never lasts. It's never fleeting. It's never real. It's never like there. The most like substantial one, like I say, was in college. And so I'm like, that's probably not, I think that was probably just like, maybe like that puppy love or what all that, or just the dreaminess. I was still fresh off of Disney. I have no clue, but I was like, that's but because they're asking me this and we're in like this present space, I was like almost thinking to myself, I'm like, are you implying that it's actually possible now? Because I kind of gave up on that concept, but the way that they were speaking was kind of like that. And I was like, huh. So it was deep to me because then I kind of went home and I was like, no, I didn't go home. I think I said it then. I said, well, now I don't think I want to be swept off so much just based off of the physical, because I am a visual person. Very, very, very visual. I had a whole video one time saying my eyes work, and they do. They work very well. Um, and I think that even if not, I'd be like Stevie Wonder. I'll still be picking them fine. But I realize now in my maturity, it's not a physical thing as much as there has to be the beauty in their mind, right? That kind of and so yeah, I thought about it. I was like, wow, I want someone's mind to do that for me. I want that feeling with someone's mind. And just based off of the conversations that I had, when you go back to something challenging and all of that, I realized that, because those conversations with those people and all the different, it really helped make me think about qualities that I look for and people that I want close to me. And I'm not talking about just romantic, I'm talking about just in general. And like the curiosity, the intellect, and I'm talking about true intellect, the intelligence, being able to really take information and do something amazing with it. And so, it inspired me. Like, yesterday I just actually wrote down to me like what a beautiful mind looks like, not the one that's been written in a movie where the guy was schizophrenic. No, I mean like what I believe that is. And so it was just really nice. I just found that to be kind of deep for me. It helped me. I was forced to ask deeper questions of myself. I really appreciated that moment in which I was asked that, because it just kind of hit me like, damn, that really moved me. It moved me. So anyway, that was my something deep. And I'm sharing this because I don't know. I want you all to think of that. Let me see what we have here. Let's see. Let's see. I'm too stuck into reality, I think, to be so dreamy with things. I mean, I think that I'm a dreamy girl, right? Oh, Marisha, you would definitely be a part of it. I put you in a second. It'll be so much fun. I'm telling you, right away. You fit in just fine. We have a ball. We would have a ball. I'll be honest with you. We would have a ball. I know we would. Um, so it's yeah, I love the group. I really do. So with that, yeah, it was a deep thought for me of what that means. And so I think it's a sign of growth. That's why I put it as something deep. I'm like, look at you digging deep and growing a little bit. I mean, these eyes are always gonna work. They're never gonna not work, right? Um, I mean, that's just the reality of it. They're gonna do their thing. But I am looking for, I realize that I want let me get those, but I need that third eye to work first. Or should I say the first eye? I mean, amen, ashe. All right, y'all don't hear me though. So that's what I'm at. That's where I'm at with this. So that's something deep. I really appreciate that question. After all this, after seeing all this. Now I'm gonna go to something beautiful. Now I was hinting to through this throughout, but I had to put this in something beautiful instead of something in some other place. It could have been something new, but something beautiful is more important to me for a few reasons. So I'm at the party, y'all. Remember, let's go back to the party. International. I done hugged up everybody, introduced myself to some of the faces I didn't know. Oh, what's your name? Who are you? What? Da, 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 da. Looking at the food, getting excited, munching on things, right? And I'm in the kitchen where a lot of us tend to hang out. Oh, talking, talking, talking. And I turn around and I see brown skin. All I see is brown skin. I don't know anything else. And I see a feminine form. I literally, now this was probably a few seconds that it took. So I see brown skin. I'm going to say that was 1 second. The second I go, and then the third second I go, and I don't even see this person's face. I just want you to know. I tap on her shoulder and say, another Black person during Black History Month is here. I'm not a token today. And I opened up my arms and went in for the hug. She hugged me back. She hugged me back and she goes, I live. She goes, I cannot. What the? She couldn't believe it. And I was like, who are you? And she's locked too. She's got locks. So now we're vibing on locks. We are just vibing like, who are you? How'd you get here? What? And we are just, I mean, I couldn't believe it. And then, now get you this, the other one that's usually is me and him, we are what I say are the tokens. He comes through and I was like, look, it's three of us together. I'm like, give her a hug. He's laughing. He's like, you are so crazy. And so we introduced, I don't even have her name, by the way. I just come in right in with hugs. I'm already hugging a stranger. This is the stranger, by the way. And I'm just jumping in just right away, embracing. Like, oh, sister, I missed you. I didn't even know you. I mean, and the funny thing is, remember, you gotta be authentic. I don't care what people are thinking around me. I don't care. It's true, they probably might have seen me the happiest they've ever seen me in a way, because I didn't leave that party. Usually sometimes I'll be up in the corner somewhere. I did actually end up leaving the party. That's not true. I usually I separate myself from the group, but usually at some point. There's different ways to do that. Sometimes the host he's opened up the top of his house before where you can kind of just like hang out. He has like a little balcony thing where that's where, if you need an introvert section, there's always like a point where I got to separate a little bit. I'll get someone to take a walk with me. I'll get someone to dance with me, but just separate from like all the noise. So I always find a way to do that. She did. We went out, we were walking on the golf course and doing our thing. We were having a ball. So I just thought about it. I did find a way, but this time I got to do it with her. We just took to each other, and I mean, I was like, girl, so happy you're here. I'm gonna miss you. She's not gonna be there long, so I just got to meet her for that time. But I mean, just right away, and she just talked. Everyone loved her too, and I really believe that because I went in there right away, like I acted like I knew her forever. Everyone started being curious about her, and so they were engaging her throughout the night, because I'm still working the room and everything. It was a great time, but we talked about all that stuff what we were seeing. talking, and it was just nice to have that sounding board. So she was the one when we were having that conversation across the way. She was the one that got to be a part of the accountability conversation. How is he just gonna talk to a stranger? Now we are token slow, but then I had to be real. I was not talking for we had been at these events, and I'm never gonna be like, that's not the homie, but I was still pissed off. So I was always we always hug each other and all that, right? But I still was feeling some kind of way. So I was working my way to forgiveness with him. And but I hadn't fully gotten there yet. And so that was kind of like but she was there for all of that. She was there for the ride, and it was one of the most beautiful blessings I think I've ever. It, I had no idea. I say yes to this stuff. I say yes. I show up because I really truly know that if I do it, I'm going to have one of the best times of my life. I know that. I commit to it. The spirits tell me. I just wasn't expecting that gift. I was just on my way, knowing it was going to be great, knowing it's going to be fantastic, not having any idea what it was going to be like. And then here we are, and I just give her this hug, man. And it was so it and so this is the funny part to me, and maybe it's made it more beautiful, is that, I was the next day, I'm with my other friends, and someone said, I have a friend and she doesn't like when people say, oh, you're black, I'm black, let's be friends kind of thing. And I said, well, I'm glad that wasn't my experience because it was what it was. And I said, and also it was love. And I think she recognized that. There wasn't some kind of like, I'm forcing you to be, or I'm like, I know that we may not like each other. I know that there's a possibility that we may not vibe, but for this moment, for this thing, I appreciate you here and I want you to know it. And I think you're beautiful. And I think you're lovely. Thank you. And that was the vibe we had. And so it was precious. It was beautiful. And yeah, I'm glad that and what got me about is that I didn't think twice about coming into this person's space and giving them it was like I just came in. I didn't think twice about it. I'm like, you are crazy. It wasn't like I opened my, because if she was like, if she would have been like, but no, her eyes lit up. I guess I just read it. I felt the energy. Her eyes lit up just like mine did. And so, yeah, I was just so excited. And my friend is walking by. He actually hears me say this stuff, a black person. He's like, okay, like, all right. And so it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I think sometimes, I try to be clear in my environment that I am here. I really appreciate you people. I like everyone here. Also, I'm very black. It's Black History Month. So there's some things that are very important to me. And this is it. So during Black History Month, the third person made sure I wasn't a token. Okay. It was rough at first. I was like, okay, you got this. You're doing it. And then all of a sudden, my tokenness went away and we were doing our thing and I just felt good. So yeah. Okay. I've imported a black person into these events before, but they weren't that comfortable. And so that's what made it different, is that she also is clear in who she is and she felt very comfortable. Like, I'm going to navigate this situation however I'm going to navigate it. And that's what made it so much fun and just lovely, because we had a great time. We're dancing. We are doing our freaking thing. So it's good. Okay. And then the last thing, let's see here. I'm in this. I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm bigly black, and I'm black, y'all. That's how I feel sometimes, but not quite, because I feel like I gotta not be that way, but you can't forget like who you are, and you can't forget who you are in these spaces, because I just think it's important. You can't forget who you are. These spaces can be very challenging, you know. The example that I told you about the Saint Lunatics, that was to her. There was a girl and she was like, do you know the Saint Lunatics? And I'm sitting next to her and I know what it felt like because I could feel her energy and we are just smiling through our teeth and like, we're gonna get through this. Because she's like, no, I don't know. No, I don't. I'm like, and the girl is just trying to figure out a way to get herself out of it. And I think she kind of knows that she messed up a little bit, but that's the kind of stuff that you're dealing with, right? Like, yeah, I mean, just that kind of stuff, that kind of like weird, like, no, I don't, you know, yeah. So then we have something beautiful, finding forgiveness through dance. I've been hinting to it, but I want to say it in a different way. I was mad at my friend. I was mad, pissed off, and to the point where I wouldn't dance with him in public. I didn't want to be near him. We've been in the same spaces many different times, and I act like he was dead when it came to that. And so I found that because clearly he can't say these things to me. He's got to tell a stranger. Because even the fact that he was taking accountability through a stranger, I was just like, well, I was kind of like, I guess he took accountability, but whatever. I don't understand all that, right? But you accept people for who they are. That's what I realized. I gotta accept him for who he is. What did Maya Angelou say? People show you when people show you who they are, believe them. So I'm like, okay, this is cool. This is what it is. And so therefore, I don't have to hold a grudge. Like I can see things and just kind of keep it simple. He has a very good heart, very good spirit. And in our conversation with her, we both were recognizing that in each other. Like it was funny. She's like in the middle of this whole thing of us finally talking to each other because we were not talking to each other. So it's finally like recognizing like, oh yeah, you did that really wonderful thing for me. Oh yeah, you did it. And now we're like having a little bit of peace. And I think it was nice that we were doing it with this Black woman because I guess there's no way. I think in many ways she was like some angel put there because I feel like we needed some kind of like intermediary for us to do it. We couldn't do it on our own, apparently. And and in a weird sense, usually when you are in these mixed spaces and more than two people, Black people get together, the white people are usually in your business. And they weren't. They weren't. It was like they somehow got the message, leave these people alone, they're doing something. And we were able to kind of work out a few things and it was good. And then we danced and I found a sense of like, yeah, I found this was our third dance that we had because I no when we went I think we had two dances where I'm working on this forgiveness thing. So this is our second dance. I initiated the forgiveness conversation because I didn't want to talk to him, but I could at least dance. So that was like a few weeks ago, and I was like, okay, I'll dance with him. I knew that I still didn't want to talk, but maybe there was something I could say through the dance, and we did start that. It was kind of like an opening conversation, right? And then this time we talked more through an intermediary. And then I think we actually really talked a little bit more, just friendlier, right? Because when I tell you I was acting like this man was dead, I was. And then we danced, and I found myself being a little bit better. And she laughed because I had talked to her a little bit about it. She goes, "Was that another forgiveness dance?" I said, "Yes, that was another forgiveness dance. I'm working on it." And I laughed. I said, "You know what? I'm not sure if I could ever be with a dancer as well because I'm like, well, maybe you could, right? But there's a lot you can work out on the dance floor. And that nonverbal communication is very powerful. And so I found that to be beautiful. I found another language that I can speak, express myself through, and sometimes there's things you can say that physically that you can't necessarily say verbally, or at least that is my situation. And so yeah, I'll maybe one day I'll grow even more and be able to say those things more, but I'm glad that we had another language because clearly we struggle. There's an intermediary. I mean, I could blame him, but I was right there with her. I was right there with the nonsense. So I mean, I can't just say it was on him because I was right there engaging in this secondary because I was asking her, I'm like, what else did he say? He's right there. So I'm not making it better. So I'm not going to pretend like I'm like I don't get the communication person of the year award in this. So, but I am going to get the accountability award because y'all heard it. Y'all were here. Give me a thumbs up for that. I am going to get that award because I recognize that I didn't make it better. But but still, I recognize. So I just found that there was beauty in that. So I want to share that. Now, I'll leave you with a little fun tidbit about all of this before I go. We have gone through everything. We have figured it out. But before I go, and before we figure out if this was the best week ever, I just gotta leave you with this tidbit. We talk about the dancing, we talk about the music, we talk about all that, right? The lyrics and all that. And then everyone decides they just want to dance. Not salsa, just like dance. And we're talking about good music. And you know what? This is actually still fits in something beautiful and a whole bunch of other things too. So we start playing Motown. So these people who I don't know, all of a sudden they start playing Motown and we're like singing together. I was like, oh, so cute. I mean, that was the power of Motown, right? That it brought all these different people together. And I'm like, oh, the power of music to unite people. So that was super cute. And then we started to hear songs that people really like and like the songs that move them. And we were playing different songs. I was being silly and played Heads High, like Heads High, killing with Dino. I was being silly. Um, but at one point, one of the friends who was like, oh, the lyrics are so horrible, actually played one of his more traditional songs. And it was super cute. Like it was just adorable to kind of hear that. But what the funny part, the irony of it, there was this point where they're playing hip hop, and all these songs are pretty wild. They even play Rick James, "Give It to Me, Baby," and I was just like, first off, there's not a lot of consent here. We're talking about drugs. We're talking about a lot of different things, but we're okay. And so I kept on saying every time they played certain songs, I'm like, but we're okay with the lyrics here. This is okay. Okay, just checking. And I'm doing this mostly with our stranger friend because like I needed someone to like bounce this vibe off of like I know I'm not the only one, right? Because this is the beauty of when you're no longer the token. You actually have someone to be like, so they're dancing and I'm listening and I'm watching the two people who were so offended by certain lyrics just moving their little feet, just doing their little thing. And I kept on looking. I'm like, so we're okay. We're okay with these lyrics too. Oh, okay, good, good. Okay, okay. Oh, oh, the next song. So music I don't even listen to. Music I don't know. Music I don't because I don't listen. That's why I can't even tell you what the songs were. There's songs that I don't listen to because I don't enjoy the music and the lyrics. I was like, oh, we're we're okay with this one too. And I'm making her laugh. She's cracking up. I'm like, good to know. Good to know. But then once we kind of moved through that, we moved through it and had a good night. But yeah, I there's always going to be an interesting conundrum with that. I think that to me is a perfect example in the effect. It should be studied. I could do a whole paper on it. I actually want to do a paper on it of what that means, right? The effects of racism and oppression through and how it is in your brain and the way you think and hear and process information. Because it's just interesting that if you're going to say you're offended by certain music for the sake of women, right? Why are you okay with other music? Just curious. Because I'm not okay with any music that has nasty lyrics, personally. So what's really going on? You know? One thing I'll say about Bad Bunny, at least he's equal opportunity. He's like running the full gamut. But anyway, okay. I'm about to read some comments here. And I learned that we should say Black Heritage Month because it's a continuation of Black. We're not history. All the cultures say Heritage Month. I like that too. Black Heritage Month. That's something new. I didn't learn that one yet. Thank you, Larisha. I'm with it. You're right. They do say Heritage Month. It is heritage. But I like the word history. Also, but I'll tell you why I like the word history. The only reason why I like the word history is because then I like the secondary conversation that when people say Black history is American history, and we need to know that story. So I like the word that the story is in there. But I guess if you said Black heritage is American heritage, ooh, that hits harder, doesn't it? Ooh, that hits harder. That's probably why ooh, that hits really hard. Ooh, that hits so hard, doesn't it? Ooh, okay. I'm gonna think about that more. Thank you so much. I mean, I like it right away, but whoo, that hits hard. Okay. Uh Yeah, you guys, yeah, there's so much. Let's see what else we got here. Music is a great way to address the racism. I think so. It's just amazing. It's amazing what's in there and how we ignore. All right, so now I have to ask myself, was this the best week ever? I said I didn't know. Man, after doing all this, I mean, from the food, from this conversation that we're having, this revelation, I feel like so much has been like dug up and moved and shifted. I feel like big shifts are happening that happened just within this week. The experience I never thought would happen at one of these events, and also I didn't say this, but while we were there, it was like this commentary of like, I've never seen like this community that I'm a part of. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen people show up consistently for each other like this. It's something else. You know, it's amazing to me, the diversity that we have in the group, and to where you do feel less tokenish and that you're just a part of this interesting sampling of humanity all in one space. And it's kind of like impactful to me. It hits me hard. This is a part of what I've always dreamt of. And there was just this revelation, I think, when there's a stranger here to kind of see it. And, when you have someone in there and they're witnessing it and they can see, like, I've never seen anything like this before. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I've never seen anything like it before. We defy what we think adulthood is. We defy what I see community be. There's no religion, there's no political alignment. There's nothing that half these people don't even dance anymore. At this point, it's company, it's food, it's a lot that somehow, and there's just some kind of these bonds that are happening over time, and I wonder if how it grows, if it does grow, what it looks like. But right now, in this time, in this space, it's like it's something else. It really is. And I'm grateful to be a part of it. And so I had that revelation this week. And so I have critique, I have all kinds of thoughts, but I don't have these thoughts without this community. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have this fun little silly stuff without this community, and in which I feel safe to explore these ideas with. I know I'm gonna be okay, right? We're gonna be fine. And so with that, yeah, I'm gonna have to say best week ever. There's some best weeks ever that are just so like exciting, right? This big thing. And there's other ones where it's like deeply in your core, moving you and shifting you as a person. This is what this one is. So absolutely best week ever. I hope you all have enjoyed this. Thank you for riding with me and just and taking this time. For those of you guys who are watching later, let me know what you enjoyed. Hey, did you do anything that made this the best week ever? I am reading this here. But yeah, send it to me. Thank you, Larisha. Good. She's gonna send it to me. Yeah, I want to read more. That's new for me. So she's gonna send me this vid. I appreciate it. I always want to learn. I always want to learn more. And what do we have here? Whew. Hallelujah, hallelujah, magic. Io and Bunya. And I will see you all on the next video. Thank you for being here. And it's time for me to skedaddle. Gotta do my steps. Gotta do a thumbnail. I got so much to do. I might just do a thumbnail. Besitos de coco. Bye.